Welcome to Gentle Restorative. My name is Sandra. Go ahead and take a comfortable seat and close your eyes. And taking your focus to your breath, I just want you to notice it. What I really want you to notice is the natural, peaceful flow of the breath. We're going to tie that into our theme today. So I want you to notice if the breath feels forced, or does it feel very natural, peaceful, happy? Of course, we're looking for the latter, right? All right, now slowly empty out the lungs, pull the belly button in. Slow, deep inhale through the nose. Open up the mouth, cleansing exhale. Take a natural breath. We're going to empty out the lungs again, pull the belly button in. Slow, deep inhale. This time I want you to hold the breath. And open the mouth, let it go. And then take the arms all the way up above you. Bring the palms together and exhale them home to the heart. And let's pause here to set your intention for your practice. Go ahead and release the hands, palms down over the knees. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, round it out. So we're going to be doing a lot of linking. Well, we're always linking the breath with the movement. Keep going, but we're really consciously focusing on it because for this class, we're going to talk about the Sacral Chakra, right? We've already done root chakra. Keep going. And so for the sacral, Svadhisthana, its element is water, so we need to incorporate a lot of flow into this sequence. So we'll be flowing a lot from pose to pose, thinking about the transitions and thinking about the natural flow of the breath. All right, give me one more. Round it out. Stay right there, hold it, drop the chin. And then go ahead and sit up tall. Bring your hands out behind you. You're just gently going to tip back onto the forearms. Go ahead and plant the feet. Get a lift to the midsection of the ribs. If you want, you could take your block and slide it under your back to hold you in place if you feel like you're sinking today. And then let's go ahead and lift the legs so the knees are above the hips and the shins are parallel to the ground. We are anchored boat. So if the theme is about the sacral chakra, the element of water, we have to work in boat pose, don't you think? But anchored boat is so much more compassionate. All right, keep that lift to the spine. Glue the legs together. Let's take them 45 degrees to the left. Hold it here, keep breathing. So the sacral chakra, the Sanskrit word, translates kind of to self-established. It is the energy center that we're coming into more awareness of ourselves. So if you're not following me already, go back and watch the root chakra class. Come back to center, take it to the other side, 45 degrees. So recall, when we talked about the root chakra, it was just all about us, just one person, just us, our survival. Sacral, we're now moving into recognizing that there are other people around. And so the sacral chakra develops between the ages of 3 and 5. Go ahead, come on back to center, straighten the legs up towards the ceiling if you can. You can keep the knees bent, right? Flex the feet, breathe, don't sink into the spine, lift. And then let's go ahead, bring the feet down, come all the way down to our back. Oh, perfect, hug the knees in. All right, we can pretend we're a boat right here. Go ahead, rock back and forth. in the peaceful water. And then let's set the feet back down on the earth. Keep the feet together. We're going to open the knees into cobbler. So if you do need your blocks under the legs, go ahead and grab them, slide them underneath. So why is this a sacral chakra pose? The sacral chakra is all about the space between the hips. So it's located 3 finger widths below the navel, and it's going to encompass kidneys, spleen, bladder, reproductive organs. It encompasses the liquids in the body, which makes sense, right? Water element. And so whenever we're doing a hip opener pose, I want you to be thinking, yes, that's perfect. I'm opening up and working on balancing that sacral area. And so then it also has to do, of course, with the sacrum, right? Behind you, low back as well. And we never want cobbler to feel like it's tweaking the low back. So if gravity is pulling down too far on the legs and it's creating an arch in the spine, definitely grab some props to hold up the knees. All right, rest your hands on your abdomen so we can feel that breath. And without controlling the breath, just I just mixed 2 words. I want you to watch the natural transition of the breath. Don't nature it, watch the natural transition. It's going to be one of those days. So if this chakra now incorporates understanding there are other people around besides just us, then it makes sense that this is a chakra that has to do with partners or relationships. When this chakra is not balanced, you might experience those fun emotions like jealousy, guilt. You might find that you're in very shallow relationships. When this chakra is balanced, we are connected with our inner child. We're experiencing joy and happiness and bliss. This chakra is all about sensuality, sexuality, and creativity. And so let's take creativity for an example. If that is your passion and you're feeling blocked, like you just can't get things rolling smoothly with a flow, get it, flow, then perhaps the sacral is a little bit blocked. And so we can work through that on the yoga mat, right? All the hip openers, all of the vinyasas, the connecting of the movement with the breath. All right, I want you to feel yourself emptying the air out of the lungs again. Pull the stomach in. Slow, deep inhale. Hold it. Big exhale. And then let's go ahead and help the legs come back in towards each other. I'm going to hug the right knee in as I straighten out the left leg. And then let's take our supine twist to the left. I leave it up to you what you want to do with the arms. You could open them wide, scarecrow behind the head, left hand on top of the right knee, right arm somewhere else. Just make sure the right shoulder stays down no matter what you choose. So the sacral chakra is all about really you being happy, but you creating that for yourself. So start thinking off the mat here. Where in your world are you feeling stagnant, not so blissful, held back perhaps? And does it sound like it's relating to this energy center? All right, give me a couple more breaths right here. And then slowly return to your back. The legs are going to peacefully switch places. When you're ready, take your supine twist to the other side. So the color of this second chakra is orange, and I want you to think about a sunrise and all the brilliant orange hues that extend from it, the tendrils of orange mixing into the sky. Can we please be at a beach watching the sunrise? And then I want you to correlate that sunrise and the movement of the orange going upwards with a rise in consciousness. So, if you're familiar with Kundalini, that Kundalini energy lies down near the root and sacral chakra. And then as you work on that, it expands, that energy comes up through the body. And so there's this correlation of this idea of Kundalini, of consciousness rising, increasing. And we can remember that if we can remember that this chakra is associated with the color of orange. So we'll work on bringing an orange healing light into our practice today. Go ahead and release this. Come back onto your back. Set that left foot down. Let the right foot join it. So we have both knees bent. Okay, so from here, what I want you to do is we're lifting the legs off the mat. Knees are over the hips again. Shins are parallel to the floor. I want you to pull the low back down. The left hand is going behind the left thigh. The right hand is going on top of the right thigh. So the right hand is going to push as hard as it can. You can see I move my leg as I was pushing, but now get the leg to push back. And then the left leg is pushing into the left hand's pulling. So they're doing opposite things. Try to keep the legs together. This is a lot. Go. Breathe, breathe, breathe. This is good for the sacrum. And release, switch the hands. When you're ready, go. I know we're exerting a lot of effort here. Don't hold the breath. Release. Set the feet down about hip distance apart. Hands between the inner thighs. And I know it's kind of a long reach, or maybe I have short arms, I don't know. Hands are going to push against the thighs. Thighs are pushing in. Go. Keep breathing. And release. Lift the legs again to our starting position. Right hand behind the right thigh, left hand on top of the left thigh, and pull and push. Go. Release, switch the hands, and go. Release, set the feet down, hands between the thighs, hands push out, legs push in, go. And release, gently straighten out the legs, take the arms overhead, and just close your eyes. So with the hands overhead, let's have the palms open, facing up, and maybe bring the hands kind of close together if you can, if your shoulders are going to allow for this. Because I want to imagine that in my hands, I'm holding a beautiful orange orb, light, healing energy. And let's imagine that we can feel the vibration of that color. And then see if you can even imagine feeling that vibration down in the sacral chakra. So you're feeling it in your hands and you're feeling it between the hips. And then go ahead and bring the arms back down. You can draw the knees in. We're just going to turn to a side here in a fetal position for a moment. And then make your way back up. Perfect. Come on over into table. So let's create a little flow here on our mat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Take it to child's pose. Just push straight back, arms reaching forward. Stay for a full breath. Inhale, come on back to table. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, child's pose, balasana. Stay for the breath. Inhale, table. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, balasana. Do that one more time. Follow your breath. So we all have ended up in child's pose, the legs close together. If your forehead doesn't touch the ground, will you grab a prop so that your forehead has something to rest on? And then we're just going to find a gentle flow with the forehead rocking on the earth. You might want to involve the hips here, the arms. Do not get seasick on me. Perfect. Come back to stillness. And then while we're here, let's just slide the hands back. I have them planted just outside my knees, palms down. And we can lift the hips and slowly come into rabbit right here. You decide if you're going to leave the hands where they are, reach for the heels, or take the arms up into Yoga Mudra. You might find some sway here. Let's keep this theme rolling. And when you're ready, gently return. Come on down to embryo. Arms are reaching alongside the feet. And from here, we're going to slowly come back up. Perfect. All right, so sitting on the heels for a moment, or if that is not enjoyable, go ahead and sit up on a prop. Remember, we want to stay happy here. This energy center is all about us finding our happiness, our contentment. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale to the heart. Interlace the fingers, turn the palms towards me, round out the back, drop the head. Inhale, arms up, plug the shoulders in when you can. Exhale, arms forward, round it out. Give me a couple more, follow your breath. And on that exhale, arms come forward, round the back, and then release the hands and just gently sit back up. Okay, if you don't like sitting like this, find a way you do like to sit for a moment. So we're going to take the left hand, palm open, lay that hand in your lap, thumb forward. Right hand rests on top of it, and then there's kind of a little turn here so we can get the tips of the thumbs together. So this is the mudra for the second chakra. Go ahead, close your eyes, and imagine that beautiful orange light, that energy. It's sitting in your hands, and no coincidence, it's right next to your sacral chakra. So it might be easier to visualize and imagine you feel that vibration. So while we're here, the seed sound, the bija sound for the second chakra is Vam, V-A-M, Vam. So as always, you can, inhale, and then on your exhale, in your head, you could say Vam. Or if you want to chant out loud, I'll do it with you a few times. Vam. I do want you to notice, especially if you're chanting out loud, can you feel the vibration, especially of that sound right in the sacral chakra? Vam. Vam. And then just find some stillness when you're ready. Inviting in healing, inviting in balance. This chakra is about self-gratification. So if that's lacking in your life right now, how could you bring it in? Where is it lacking? What do you need to do? And keeping your eyes closed, just go ahead and turn the head to look over the right shoulder. Slowly come back through center to the other side. Bring the head back to center. Draw the head back slightly and drop the right ear to the right shoulder. I'm going to release my mudra here. So take the left arm around behind your back. Let the right hand join the left. So palms together, interlace the fingers. Pull that right elbow back. Hold it here. Soften that left shoulder. And then slowly bring the head to center. We'll keep the hands as they are, but bring them behind you, yoga mudra. So really stretch out, lengthen the arms, knuckles down towards the earth. Drop the left ear to the left shoulder, and then bring that right arm behind you. Hands have stayed interlaced, right? Draw that left elbow back. And then slowly release everything. Shake out the arms. All right, let's see what we think of this pose. So if you have 2 blocks, go ahead and grab them. If you don't, we do not need props to do this pose, but maybe a blanket might suffice. So it's going to be different for all of us. We're going to need to change the height of the block, just depending on your back and how happy it is, or unhappy. No unhappiness in yoga. So we're going to try to create a supported fish pose because we're talking about water, right? So I've got my first block out behind me at its medium height. It's horizontally across my mat. My second block is at its lowest height. You might not need that block. It kind of depends. So Let's very carefully start to lean back into that first block. Get it in a spot that feels comfortable to you, and then you can let the head tip back. So having gotten here, this feels a little high for me right now. My back has not been thrilled with me lately, so I'm going to drop that first block to a lower height, and I'm going to release the block from up behind my head. I think I'm going to keep the knees bent. Let's take the feet to the width of the mat, knees together, and see what you think about being right here. If you don't like it, make some adjustments, add in some other props. If you would rather be in fish pose without props, or you don't have any, then you take the hands right underneath the sacrum, get the elbows in as close as you can. Legs are straight for fish. And then as you lift the chest and let the head drop back, you'll just slide your hips over the hands until the top of the head reaches the earth. So if you want to be here, that's totally fine too. It's just not super restorative. You could shove that blanket right underneath the spine. That would feel good. We won't stay here long. Give me a few more good breaths. Watch the transitions. And then when you're ready, find the way easiest for you to get out of this pose. Come back to the earth and hug the knees in. Take your focus to the curvature of the spine. Send the breath there. Rock this out a little bit. And then let's slowly, however you want to, make your way back up. We deserve a very peaceful restorative pose now, don't we? So let's go ahead and put the bolster underneath the knees. The blanket, either make a neck roll for it, or I kind of like when we roll it long like a noodle and place it right behind the spine. So that's what I'm going to do with mine. You decide which way you prefer it to be. Yeah, that's good. And then close your eyes. So remember, if you're not blissfully happy here, make some changes, adjustments. We want the sacral chakra to be happy. We're working on balancing it, right? So each chakra has an animal that's associated with it. The animal that's associated with the sacral energy center is the crocodile. So the crocodile lives both in the water and out of the water, right? What that means to you is that it's changeable. It's adaptable. This chakra is all about going with the flow of life. You have to be changeable and adaptable in order to do that, right? There's an old Zen story, which I've told numerous times, about an old man being swept down a very fast river, and the villagers on either side of the banks watching in horror because there's this huge waterfall and drop that's up ahead of him, and there's nothing they can do. And they're certain he's going to die, and he plunges over and he drops all the way down, and the villagers are all sad, but then they see him reemerge and he's perfectly fine. And they ask him how that's possible. And he said he just made himself like the water. He let the water move him instead of resisting it. And so this chakra is all about moving with what life brings you instead of, one of my greyhounds, when she doesn't want to do anything, she shoves all 4 feet into the earth, locks her knees, and there's nothing you can do. You can't push her. She's totally grounded. Lifting her is interesting because you'd have to get your hands under her and lift her straight up because her legs are locked in place. And so she's in full resistance. So the crocodile, adaptability, flexibility, going with the flow. But then here's the other message about the crocodile. Remember, this chakra is about self-gratification, what your happiness is. And what if you don't know the answer to that? That's totally possible, right? So imagine the crocodile dives down to the bottom of the water. And I want you to make the analogy that by him doing that, that's you going within. So when you're meditating or you're in Shavasana, perhaps, when you take the time to try to focus everything to your heart space, to your Atman, we're looking for answers. So we go within. Then the crocodile comes back up through the water and reemerges on land. Is the symbolism is that he has unearthed the answer and has brought it to the surface. So when you feel like you're struggling for answers, you can be that crocodile, visualize going down into the water. Of course, set the intention you can breathe underwater so you're not struggling. Search for that answer. You could even run your fingers through the silt at the bottom of the water and then bring that answer back up to the surface with you so that by the time you open your eyes, perhaps you know exactly what you need. And you thought that crocodile wasn't going to be any fun. Gosh, don't you hate to move from right here? Okay, so let's not totally move because this is really comfy. How about we add in the hip opener for the second chakra and we just take the legs up onto the bolster into cobbler. So having the hips open is symbolic of being receptive and open to life. So you can see how this is all intertwining, right? No coincidences, everything is connected. Couple more breaths here. All right, let's go ahead and re-straighten the legs over the bolster for a moment. I want to get the blanket out from underneath us, so if you have it under the head, that's a little easier than if you put the whole thing under your spine the way I did. All right, so laying back down, let's get our feet up on top of that bolster. You might need to scooch a little closer to that bolster. We're looking for, we're coming up into bridge pose like this. So release the arms down alongside you, pull the low back down and gently lift the hips up. Hold it here. Feel especially because we're up higher now, can you feel how the back of the neck flattens and lengthens out against the floor? The chin draws in. Don't turn your head in this pose. Exhale, come on back down. Inhale, lift up. And of course, if you don't have a bolster, keep your feet on the ground. Exhale down. So you keep going, follow your breath. You're focusing on the transition of the physical body, and you're focusing on the natural transition of the breath. So we're combining the flow of the breath and the movement, right? We are connecting with that sacral chakra through this idea of just going with the flow. We're not controlling the breath. We're not locking in our legs like Anna, my greyhound. There's no resistance here. I didn't say that maybe the thighs weren't tired. It's just there's no resistance, right? All right, let's say 3 more. That sounded like a good number. And when you finish that last one and the hips are safely down on the earth, hug the knees in, rock it out on your boat. And then go ahead and tip over into a fetal position. Stay there for a few breaths. And when you're ready to come back up, just come to sitting on the ground. We are going to need the bolster, the blanket, maybe the blocks, who knows. And of course, as always, if you don't have props, you can do any of these poses without props. The props are just the icing on the cake. And isn't that the best part? All right, when you're ready, go ahead and put that blanket underneath your knees, straighten the legs out, flex the feet. If you need your knees bent more, you can double that blanket over, right? Get super comfy here. Sit up tall, just slowly hinge forward, let the ribs come toward the tops of the thighs, hands reaching forward, soft fold here. So each chakra is represented in a symbol with a certain number of lotus petals. So in the root chakra class, we talked about the root chakra having 4 petals. The sacral chakra has 6. Those 6 petals represent the 6 negative characteristics we need to overcome. I know, I could hear you. You're thinking, I don't have any negative characteristics. So maybe you've already overcome them, right? Anger, hatred, jealousy, cruelty, desire, and pride. Anger, hatred, jealousy, cruelty, desire, and pride. And so when we've overcome those, that space is completely balanced and at bliss. All right, I want you to come back up, and I want you to add the bolster. I'm just going to take it across my thighs, tuck it right in against the low ribs, so you got to sit up tall, and now you can just roll your way over. So I've kind of used my arms to prop my head up, but if this is too low, that's where we can add in other fun things, right? So just get comfortable for you. Close your eyes. And so thinking about those 6 negative qualities and the fact that we're human, do you notice that maybe we go in and out of some of those? Like perhaps we're really angry for, I don't know, a few days, a week, and then we settle into a different energy. And so I guess I would encourage not to judge that, but to acknowledge what you're feeling. And then perhaps wear a lot of orange that week, right? And just again, noticing the natural transition of the breath here. Follow its flow. If it feels stuck, just notice that. And see if you can assess why. We don't have to try to change it right now. And then what does that feel like to be in the present moment with the breath? Right? I mean, how many times during the day do you focus on your breath and what it's doing, maybe without somebody saying, hey, focus on the breath? We don't do it often. How does it feel to be present with the inhale and the exhale? And then when you're ready, let's slowly come back up. I'm going to set the bolster aside. I'm going to set the blanket aside. If you have 2 blocks, grab them. If you don't and you have a blanket, that would be good. The bolster would also work. If you don't have any props, I'm going to change it up for you for this pose because I was thinking, how can we do crocodile and keep this gentle and restorative? Crocodile is usually a yoga pose named that way in a kids yoga class for chaturanga. We don't want to hold chaturanga, not right now, but we can make it supported. So let's start with blocks. If you have blocks, let's put them out in the middle of the mat as such, and then we can just lay right on top of them, and look how easy it is to hold chaturanga right here. My toes are tucked. I'm completely happy on these blocks. One's under my hips, the second's under my ribs. Hands are planted. Technically, if the elbows should be above the wrists, but since we're kind of being held up, if you need the hands somewhere else, it's totally fine. And now you can see why if you don't have props, I don't really want you holding this. It's not very gentle. If you want, you could drop the forehead to rest on the ground. You could put your head on a blanket. You could continue to hold the head up. Totally up to you. We won't stay here long, but you know, we should involve crocodile into a theme that has a crocodile in it, don't you think? And now you can really focus on the breath in the present moment, right? Especially if you dropped your head, you can hear your breath against the mat. It's being trapped underneath you. And you can definitely feel the breath, right? As the chest tries to inhale and exhale against the block. So stay right there with your breath. Imagine you're that crocodile. You have come down to the bottom of the waters. What answer are you seeking? What are you seeking? And then let's imagine we have found our answer. So slowly drop the knees, untuck the feet, lift the head. I'm going to push my way back into Balasana. So I'm going to take my knees wide as I go. And then you'll have a block right there for the forehead to rest on. Or if you want a variation, if you do have 2 blocks, you could turn them, take them parallel, put the arms up on top of them and drop the head. And then let's slowly walk ourselves back up. Let's create another little vinyasa flow on the mat to keep it this concept of the wave, going with the flow. Part of going with the flow on your mat is not doing poses if they aren't feeling right for you, right? All right, let's go to table. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog, walk it out. Okay, find some stillness with the legs. Let's bend the right knee. Keep bending it so you can come onto the very tips of the toes, and then roll the tops of the toes down onto the mat so we can place the entire shin down, and then just float that left leg out. Bring the left foot down. Slowly unroll, go back to downward facing dog. Plant the right foot. Bend the left knee. Come onto the tippy toes, roll the toes forward, come onto the top of that foot, slowly let the shin come to the earth, lift the right leg. Take the leg back down. Take your time. Focus on the transition and what you're feeling as you slowly creep on back to downward facing dog. Bend the right knee, same thing, right leg. When that leg touches down, float the left leg up. Bring the left leg back down, downward facing dog. Bend the left knee. Slowly bring that leg down to the mat. Lift the right leg. Right foot comes back to the earth, downward facing dog. Stay right here. Focus on the breath now. The movement is in the breath. And then go ahead and bring the knees to the earth, cross one ankle over the other so we can easily sit back on the mat. And we're going to create a supported wave pose. So bolster and blanket. I haven't decided about the block yet. So the blanket's going to go across the middle of my mat. It's going to be underneath the low back. Bolster back underneath the knees. So you can start to see we're creating this wave, right? It's coming up, it's crashing down. It's going up, it's crashing down. So again, you're going to need to decide how thick you want that blanket under the low back. I'm going to slowly come back. Oh yeah, that's good. And so as you close your eyes, can you just see how your body is in a wave? Completely supported. Do whatever you want to with the arms. Take your focus down into the sacral chakra. And I want you to start visualizing filling that space with this orange healing light. And I want you to notice how easily your physical body lays over the props in this wave position. The legs are not struggling to rise over the bolster. In fact, they're probably really happy. If the low back is struggling to rise over the blanket, flatten the blanket out a little bit more, right? And so we find ease here, that idea of going with the flow, of just being. We're present with the breath. You can still be that crocodile if that resonates with you. And as you lay there, I want you to picture your yoga mat. So if it's easier, you could imagine you're up above yourself looking down at your body on the mat. And I specifically want you to see the four corners of the mat. And then, kind of like a pool table, can you find the two side center points, right? So we have 3 points down each long edge of the mat. And then I want you to allow yourself to kind of connect that with this idea of those 6 petals. So each spot on the mat that we've just designated is one of the 6 petals. You're lying comfortably in the middle, just being present, going with the flow in that supported wave. And then I'm going to tell you again what the 6 petals represent. And as I say one, so for instance, anger, if you're feeling quite balanced with that characteristic, you're not angry whatsoever, then I want you to light up that petal, that corner of your mat, bright orange. And it is okay if we don't light them all up. It's okay, because acknowledgement is so important. And maybe we get all 6 spots lit up in this brilliant hue. Who knows? How about if we get one, we're pretty happy with ourselves. Okay, that takes judgment out of it. So pick a corner or one of the side spots, and that one is going to be anger. And if you've been kind of mad in the past couple days, let that space be. Just send it love. And if you're thinking, no, I haven't been angry at all, I'm perfectly good there, light it up. And then go to one of the other petals. That one is hatred. Nobody knows which ones you're lighting up, so be brutally honest. If you've been really ticked off with somebody and experiencing hate, acknowledge that. Send love to that petal, don't worry about it. And then focus on the third petal. It correlates with jealousy. Focus on the fourth petal. It resonates with cruelty. Focus on the fifth petal. This one might be challenging to wrap our heads around. It's desire. So let's think about desire and how that relates to attachment, right? The Buddhist philosophy would be non-attachment, or preference would be non-attachment. So think about desire. You know, I like to break it down: wants versus needs, attachments versus non-attachments, healthy desires versus unhealthy. I'll let you carry on from there. And you decide if that petal lights up or not. And then take your focus to the sixth and final petal, which is going to be pride. And that ties in very closely with ego. So think about it and decide if you light up that corner or it needs love. And then let's take a deep breath in. Find a cleansing exhale. And I'm going to go ahead and bend my legs, get the feet up onto that bolster so I can lift my hips and turn to a side here in a fetal position. And then let's slowly come back up, any seated pose. As you move your props, you can move them where you want them for Shavasana. We're almost there. Can we come back to our mudra, our hand pose, left hand on the bottom, right hand on top, tips of the thumbs touching. Close your eyes. And I'm wondering if you notice that you might feel different from when we first started the class, when we first closed our eyes. And how do you feel different? More relaxed, more peaceful? Maybe you've let some stuff go. Maybe have opened up to being receptive to what the sacral chakra needs. Bring that healing orange energy into the body. Let it go where it wants to go, where you saw it going first. And then here, I'm going to have you inhale the arms up. Bring the palms together. Exhale to the heart. Let's try something new. I want you to set an intention for Shavasana. Separate intention. What do you hope to get out of Shavasana? What do you need from that pose today? And maybe that correlates to what we've been talking about. And you can pause here as long as you want or need to. When you're ready, you'll release the hands and set up your space for Shavasana, corpse pose. Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure the hips are happy. You might choose to invite that orange healing light back in or around you. You might choose to be present with the breath until you kind of fade out into that happy place. Or you might choose to be the crocodile and resurface from Shavasana with some answers. So you'll hear me come back to get you when time is up. Begin to bring your focus back to your breath. Bring some movement into the hands and the feet. And then very slowly, let's bring one knee in and then the other. If you are perched upwards with your back on your bolster, just be careful, or you can move that out from underneath you. I want to give the sacral chakra one more little shout out here. So let the arms come between the knees, grab onto the feet, let the knees go wide. So we're in a different supine cobbler. Hips are open, sacral chakra, receptive to life. Also receptive to the crocodile, surfacing those answers that you need. Take this to happy baby. Another good sacral chakra pose, rock it out. And then gently bring the knees back in. One little squeeze. And on an exhale, just roll off to the side in a fetal position. And then go ahead and make your way back up. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale the hands back home to your heart. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.